Alright, so it is the last day of May 2017. Pikes Peak Hill Climb is right around the corner. A few people have reached out to see kind of what's going on with the race car. So I wanted to just throw together a quick video to basically bring up to this point. We are actually testing this Saturday and Sunday on the mountain, so we'll probably have some in-car footage from that and more information after that. But to present, this is going to be the fourth year we've run this car up Pikes Peak. And just kind of as a quick rehashing, the first year, 2014, was basically just a shakedown of the car. Not to go into it in any real detail, but basically this car was a flood car, it was underwater. More than anything, the first year was basically just to put a cage in it and run it up the mountain and see what we had. We did very minor bolt-ons, put a basically just bolt-on turbo and a tune, and that's about it. And what we learned in that year, the car made it to the top, but we overheated basically from halfway all the way up to the summit. Cooling was a major issue. And we weren't really pushing that hard, and still we had that problem. So the next year we came back and improved the cooling a bit, and really didn't make very many other changes to the car. And we finally got at that power level a run, bottom to top with no cooling issues. Last year, as you were following, we basically had a catastrophic drivetrain failure during testing, and so that pretty much twisted our arm to replace the whole drivetrain of the car. So now we've got SCI transmission, R180 rear differential, but that was the bulk of the change that we made to the car last year. Before that, pretty much all the setup of the car that we had made, because we were still staying with the 5-speed transmission because we were shaking the car down. We really had to kind of keep the 5-speed transmission in mind as far as the build of the car. Well, that got fixed last year. So for this year, what we've been doing is focusing on cooling and then a different turbo setup to make more power, give us a wider power band, and take advantage of the fact that now we have a really robust drivetrain, whereas I would say we really didn't before. The 6-speed drivetrain is a lot more durable than the 5-speed one. So pretty much what we've done is played around with the turbo and then played around with cooling. So what we're trying this year with cooling is we've done two things. One is we've added a parent oil cooler kit. So using a Cetrab core, can't see it, there's no real fancy pictures, but it's sitting down here in between the front mount and the radiator. So that should give us an extra quart of oil capacity and make our oil temperatures a lot more consistent. So that's the hope. And then the more interesting one that we've done is we've added an electric water pump. So we've now taken the water pump so that it is no longer tied to engine speed and is completely separate, and it's controlled by the Davies computer that has control over the pump and the fan. So it'll pulse the water pump, turn the water pump on full blast, and pulse the fans or turn them on full blast. And it has total control over that cooling system. So we're hopeful that both of those things will yield really good cooling results, but too early to tell. So we're actually going to try and shake down the car a little bit tomorrow, and then we'll find out over the weekend. So stay tuned for that. But early results that we've seen are positive with this. One of the cooler things about this, pun intended, I guess, is that now the speed of the water pump is totally separate from the speed of the engine. So if the car is warming up and the engine speed drops down because we're in a lower speed section or something like that, the controller can run this thing at full blast if it needs to. So we're hopeful that that's going to be beneficial. Part of the reason for the lack of any other content lately is we've been really scrambling with this. There's been a lot of little details and stuff with putting these on, but and just figuring them out, shaking them down. But I think we're through all of that. The other fun thing that we've had is the turbo. So we found, or a friend of ours actually over in Europe turned us on to this company called Turbodynamics. So we're trying one of those turbos, actually one that he sent us, and what we discovered in the process of tuning for that new turbo, the long and the short of it is that the turbo was actually beginning to fail or had failed or or thereabouts. But it was in a very odd way. We'll do a whole separate video on that because it was pretty wild. Just, you know, kind of as a teaser, the only reason that we discovered it the way that we did is because we had also put on this IAG air oil separator that is an atmospheric dump. So if we wouldn't have had that, we never would have caught the fact that the turbo was failing. So it all ended up working out great, but we've had the turbo on and off this car, I think 4 times in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, we've gone back and forth between the Turbodynamics Turbo VF37 and then back to the new Turbodynamics Turbo. And it's a handful with these twin scroll turbos to get them on and off. So there's been a lot of time just doing that back and forth. So that's pretty much, you know, where we're at. The other thing is we've done some weight savings on the car. So, you know, that's pretty much where we're at. At this point, we're just at the point of shaking the car down. So I don't think we're going to make any other sweeping changes this year. It's just kind of trying to keep all this together and get it to the top of the mountain. But hopefully, the goal is ultimately is to have good cooling. You know, the more power you make, the more heat you're making, and the more important it is to have a good cooling system. If you cannot run at full power for the full run up the mountain, you know, you're not really helping yourself by turning up, you know, the boost or whatnot, because you can't use that power. So we feel optimistic. We think we're making more power than we ever have before. We have a wider power band than we've ever had before going up the mountain. The question is, do we have the cooling so that we can actually utilize it? And that's a bit of the X factor. And then the weight savings, well, you know, weight savings helps everything. So we've just done a little bit of whatever we can to shed weight. So that's pretty much in a nutshell where we're at with the car. So again, we're testing this weekend, so we'll have, you know, more interesting things to show you than just me standing here talking to you after that. So stay tuned, and hopefully it all goes well. And even if not, well, we'll let you behind the curtain and let you know what we learned. But hopefully we're going to have a better package this year than we ever had before, and hopefully that plays out to a better result than we've ever had before at the 2017 Pikes Peak Hill Climb. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. Thanks to all the people that have, you know, been reaching out to us and wanting to see what's going on with race cars. So that's what's going on, and we'll be back soon with more info. Thanks for watching.